Hello fashionistas, I am Sofi and welcome back. I am doing another skirt for you, exciting skirt, which is called a peg skirt. The peg skirt looks like this. It has 3 pleats on the sides, on each side. The hemline is tapered, and here we have a small tiny V shape on the waistband. And at the back, we don't do any changes, we just have a slit. So you're going to learn all these exciting details about this skirt. In order for us to start the skirt, we need our basic foundation for the skirt. Again, if you don't have a skirt foundation, refer to my video and draft your own. Then place it on a piece of paper matching the straight lines with the center front and straight lines. Line it for the back. Copy the skirt and the dart points. Then let's get rid of the foundations and draft the darts, the points to the notches. Now we're ready to start drafting the style lines. In order for us to give a peg shape to our skirt, we're going to go 1 inch in from the side seam and draft that straight line towards the hip like this, and then with the hip curve blend it with the hip line like this, meaning our skirt is going to be tapering down that much. The same thing is going to be done for the back. Again, 1 inch, this is 1 inch, and with a straight ruler draft it towards the hip, and with the hip curve blend it with the hip line. So this is going to give us like accentuated hips. Now we are going to go 1 inch down from the waistline, and we're going to make a straight line to the leg of the dart, which is going to give us that pointy shape of the waistband. From the hemline, go up for 2.5 inches and mark another 2.5 inches and another 2.5 inches. So those are the lines that our pleats are going to be facing towards. Here on this little V shape, I measured 1 inch, marked. This 1 inch point is going to be connected with my first 2.5 inch point line, which actually marks my first pleat placement. The second one is going to be connected with the dart point, first dart point, and the third one is going to be connected with the other dart point. Let's cut the skirt off of the paper. I'm going to cut this 1 inch off of the paper, and I should not lose this piece because this is going to become part of my waistband. I'm going to place it right on my table so I don't lose it. Now I'm going to cut the slash lines from the top to the side seam. Try not to cut through. Then we're going to cut the darts out. In that book, the instruction was a little bit different, but in order not to have us any confusion, I'm suggesting you to cut like this. Cut the dart out and slash the slash lines towards the side seam, like this. Okay, so I'm going to put my center front, here's my center front, on the background paper and secure the first piece, the center front piece first, and then bring in the second piece in. Let's say we're going to do 1-inch deep pleats, which requires 2-inch fabric. Therefore, I'm going to push it 2 inches away from the first piece and make sure that at the bottom your paper is not gathering, is not pulling, and secure that in the place. Now I'm going to bring in the third piece, again pushing it 2 inches away from the second one, and secure this in the place. So that's my second pleat. Now let's adjust the third piece in the place. Again, push it 2 inches away from the third one. Okay, so if I was going to fold it, fold my pleats, they're going to go like this. So I folded my first pleat and placed a temporary piece of tape right there. And then second pleat is going to go right here. Yeah, I just eliminated the paper on the side so it will let me to fold my pleats. And then my third one is going to be pleated towards the side seam like this. You see, so we're not guided by the white paper, but we're guided through the pleat directions. As you can see, my pleats are jumping up a little bit. That's what they're supposed to do. And when I'm done with my seam allowances and everything, this is going to relax. At the top, I'm making sure that my papers are kind of matching with each other. This is going to be a diagonal line here that is going to be connected to the waistband. You see, this is the little piece that I cut in advance, so this is a straight line to start with, and then this is blended. I'm going to blend the remaining portion like this, and while my pieces are sitting folded like this, I'm going to add seam allowances here. Okay, since my pleats are folded in their places, I'm going to cut. Because this is the way it is going to be sewn. So let's open. You see all these tails that we came up with? Those are going to be part of our fabric. So when we're ready to sew, they are going to be caught up into the waistline. So one more thing that I have to fix and blend is my side seam. And I'm going to do that after my pleats. Can you see this breakage that happened on the side seam? Should be blended as well, like this. So now the hem allowance for this skirt can be 1 inch if we want to, depending what kind of fabric we're using, and side seam allowance is going to be 1/2 inch. Blend your seams. And cut. Fold your 1 inch hemline up to shape your hem allowance, because this is a peg shape. I mean, that shaping is not very big, but in case it needs to be shaped, I'm folding up and cutting. Okay, so here's my skirt pattern. Here's the shape that we came up with, and the pleats are going to be acting like this. They're going to be puffing up just a bit. Okay, at the back, we're not going to have any pleats. We have our regular darts. But at the back, there's a slit, and I would like to give some instructions on how to make a slit or a kick pleat at the back. Now, we're going to add seam allowances on the waistline. 1/2 inch seam allowance, following the shapes of the waist, meaning our dart tails. Just move with the line and measure your 1/2 inch seam allowance vertically like that. And by the way, I should not forget to bring to your attention that I also shaved off that 1 inch that I cut in on the back, because we will, whatever changes we do for the front, we do it for the back and vice versa. So the hemline is kind of tapered into that peg shape. And here I'm going to add my 1/2 inch seam allowance here also. And our hemline for the front was cut 1 inch, and we're cutting 1 inch for the back as well. Now, the center back seam allowance, it is 1/2 inch also, but that 1/2 inch seam allowance comes and stops at the pleat or at the slit. Let's assume the slit length is 5 inches. So I measure from the hemline 5 inches up and mark. Here I'm going to create a square line. Match up one of the ruler lines with the center back of the skirt and draft a square line like this. So the slit is 5 inches. 5 inches. So my seam allowance comes and meets up with my slit here. I'm going to decide how wide I want my slit to be right here, meaning the slit doesn't get 1/2 inch seam allowance, it gets more than that. It gets 1 inch, 1.25 inch, 1.5 inch, whatever you want to. Let's say I want 1.5 inch. I'm going to draft that 1.5 inch line. So this direction, it is 1.5 inch, and this direction, it's 5 inches. Now, my lines come and meet up right there. I'm going to bring my French curve right at the corner, and I'm going to draft a curvy line. So I am adding a little fabric in this corner so the slit has something to hang on. It doesn't drop down and hang down from the hemline. That's why we create this kind of shape right there. So here at this point, my zipper is going to stop right here, and my slit is going to start here. I deliberately put 2 pieces of paper underneath. I'm cutting 2 pieces so I can show you exactly how that is going to work. So after smoothing your lines up, let's cut the skirt off of the paper. Okay, before I start pinning the patterns to each other so you can see how it's gonna work, I want to mark my punch holes and everything by notches. I'm going to have a notch from here going down showing my seam allowance measurement, and on the way there's a zipper notch that says open, stop right there. And also here at the bottom at the hemline, I'm going to put a notch showing that this is going to fold at this point. Here at the hem, I'm going to put my 1/2 inch notch and my hem notch. We should not forget to mark our hip notch, which is marked all the time, and side seam notch, then my dart legs. Now I am going to also mark my punch holes. Punch holes are usually placed 1/2 inch up from the dart points, punch hole circle. Same thing right here. Also, we have another punch hole that we have to mark and place. In this corner, you see this is my seam line, and this is my seam line. Right here, 1/8 of an inch away from each side, 1/8 of an inch from this side and 1/8 of an inch from the bottom, we're going to mark a punch hole and then we're going to circle. Soon I'm going to show you how that works and why we mark it like this. So the punch hole means when our fabric is cut, it is going to be punched, meaning they make a drill hole here. And here is my zipper notches. Now let's assume I'm sewing these two pieces to each other. Obviously the zipper opening is open, and I'm stitching the center back line right there. You don't have to torture your patterns like this. I'm doing it to help you to understand how this is going to work. Now the punch hole says, stay away from me for 1/8 of an inch and stop right here. So I stitch right there. So the punch hole, if I was going to stitch from the other side, my notch will help me also, and my notches will be helping me. And since my punch hole is right here, my seam is going to stay 1/8 of an inch away from it. So when I stitch like that and I open my skirt, you see here's my zipper opening on top, and at the bottom this is my slit. Now the slit could be left open in any way you want to. If I would push my seam allowances open like this and fold both of these fabrics opposite directions and stitch this into place on the right side, I will get a slit.
5, 4, 3.
Let's say I don't want to have a slit, I want to have a kick pleat. Then I'm going to push the seam allowance either to the right or to the left, it's up to you. Let's say if I push this to the right like this, obviously this is overlocked and stitched, and hem is going to go right on top of it. That's how we finish it. But let's look at the slit on the right side. Can you see, because I pushed the seam allowance on one side, it's not a slit. Some skirts are just made like that, so the slit is opened just this way. So when it opens up, you still see a fabric. But you can use this as a kick pleat if you want to. It becomes a knife pleat, and it's a kind of left open. Sometimes they would even stitch this to each other, so it becomes a kick pleat. You see, like if I would look at this from the other side, you see it opens up just as much as the pleat is, meaning the pleat depth. So all these different treatments is possible. Since my skirt hemline is too tight, this type of treatment I'm going to always employ to give her a step length, possibility to move her legs, especially on the pig skirt. Now we're drafting the waistband. I'm going to take my little piece that I cut from my skirt a while ago, and I'm going to place this against my fold, my paper. Now from this piece, I'm going to draft my waistband. Like this. From the folded point, I'm going to measure my front waistline. You use yours. I'm measuring 6 7/8. 6 7/8 for my front and 6 5/8 for the back. Stop. And we're going to now draft the width of our waistband, meaning the height. If the ready measurement of the waistband is 1 inch, then I'm going to measure and draft 2 inches right there. Okay, so this is going to be 2 inches. So when it's done, it is going to be folded and becomes 1 inch waistband. You want wider waistband, draft any way you want to. Now, here on this paper, on this one side, I'm going to also draft 1 inch extension, which is going to be cut off from the opposite side. Okay, so then I'm going to add my 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now pay attention that from this little triangular piece, I'm going to measure 1/2 inch like that and continue to the end of my waistband. Here I have my 1/2 inch seam allowance also. Now let's cut. Staple your paper so it doesn't twist. Okay, so let's notch the side seam and center back. Now on the left side, I'm going to have that extension, but I don't want to have extension on the right side. So then I'm going to cut 1 inch off of here. So because the waistline extension is only on one side, not both. I just drafted and cut them like that because my paper was folded. So this is a little bit shorter. Before I fold my waistband and finish it, I have to create this pointy shape on the opposite side of my waistband as well. So here, let's fold it. You can even fold it right at the center front, which is going to show you how much paper you need for the triangular shape on the opposite side. You could add this before when you were cutting, or you can do it now, doesn't matter. Just we have to know that our waistband needs that triangular shape on both sides, like this. Okay, so I placed my waistband on my skirt so you can see the ready look of the skirt. Again, you don't have to torture your patterns like this, but I fold it here so you can see that that diagonal line is a very pretty shape at the front that has on both sides of the waistband and then connects together. Here's my side notch, is matching with my side seam. And then the waistband comes and gets underneath of the other side. So one side of my waistband has an extension, but the other one doesn't. Obviously, this is a paper, doesn't let me to put them on top of each other, but if I forced it, it will go on top of each other. And then it will go, obviously, if my skirt was at the back, was on the back of the form, you would see that this will be matching with my center back, and this will be matching with my center back. Coming here, that's my notch for the side seam, and it goes to the center front again. So let's conclude the patterns and let's start placing all the marks on them that we need to. Let's mark the grain lines on all of my pieces. My skirt is going to cut on this direction, at the front, at the back. My grain line is going again parallel to the center back. On my waistband, it will go this direction. Now we already put my punch holes, and I already put my punch holes. Now let's do the notches. It's a good habit to start notching from one corner of the piece and go all the way to the other side. For instance, my center front is going to be like pointy shape, so there is no point for me to put a notch in here. Usually when we have notch shapes, we don't have to put notch, but if you want to put, you can put half a notch straight like that. Now my pleats as dart legs always would get notches, so we know exactly how to fold them. Again, in some places when you have notch shapes, maybe you can save a notch on those corners, but the notches should be there, so I know exactly how to fold my pieces like that. At the side seam, I'm going to have a notch. Then I have my hip notch, and I'm going to have similar notches that I have on the other side of my pattern. Okay, again, always remember the notch begs for the couple. So that's my couple for this and couple for that. Now the back is notched, and I explained everything there, and I explained all the notches that should go on the waistband. All I have to do is label my patterns. So that's my peg skirt front, or front peg skirt, right, whichever you want to. This is size 8, and this will be cut 1. The center front is on fold. The back peg skirt, again size 8, and we cut 2. So this is my peg skirt waistband. We write peg skirt waistband size 8 cut 1. It should be fused. So this will conclude my presentation of the peg skirt for you. It was a pleasure to do this demonstration for you all. Come back to my studio if you need to see my other videos. If you want to like my video, you can do that. You can subscribe, or you can share it with your friends, whoever is interested in fashion. And again, welcome again, and see you next time.